a good vibes hot dog. You get a good vibes hot dog. I want to do hot dog hats, hot dog slippers. I just, it's. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Lewis. I'm coming to you from the Women's Game World headquarters remote office in Atlanta.
Oh, and I'm Becky Sauerbrunn coming to you from Portland, Oregon. Why are you in Atlanta?
I'm in Atlanta. I did a little panel for U.S. Soccer today at a little conference that they had.
How was that? Was it lovely?
It was cool. Yeah, it was actually kind of like a lit panel. That's why I agreed to come. It was Emma, Michelle Kang, Cindy Parlow, Cone, and Tracy Kevins. So I was kind of yeah, I have to go and do it.
Wow, the company you keep.
I mean, I did have to fly here and I'm flying back after this, but it was cool. It was fun and I learned a lot. And just Sammy Media out here doing Sammy Media things.
I mean, they were lucky to be in your presence as well.
I just love ya. All right, everybody. Good Vibes FC. This podcast is presented by our really great friends over at Olipop. Use code TWG20 for 20% off at drinkolipop.com. Today on the podcast, we've got a lot of updates for you all, including on the progress towards an official nickname for Good Vibes listeners. I've heard you. I respect some of your opinions a lot. Plus, Kansas City won the Shield this weekend. We're going to talk NWSl. We'll dive into some of the best goals from this weekend. I feel like it was kind of a goals fest. Then we've got a quick Champions League explainer as the league phase draw happened last week. But first, Becky, we actually both have very exciting announcements. My sister Christy and I started a podcast. It's called Mewis Squared. It's coming out on Friday, the very first episode. And then we've got a few more of them coming out throughout the rest of the year. They're always going to drop on Fridays. We're talking stories from our soccer careers. We're talking about our sisterhood. We're talking about the highs and lows of our lives. And it was literally so fun to make, Becky. I'm actually really, really proud of the episode and I cannot wait for people to hear it.
I can only imagine it is going to be full of shenanigans and just so funny.
Yeah, I cried laughing a couple times. We shout out our childhood dog Kayla a lot. And I didn't even expect to be talking about Kayla. And Kayla's front and center. I don't even know if people know that we had a childhood dog named Kayla, but shout out to Kayla, R.I.P.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So anyways, that was grim. But you have some news of your own, Reba.
I am also launching a new podcast and it's called Teaming Up with Becky Sauerbrunn.
What?
I know. I'm sure as editor-in-chief, you were just so surprised by this news, but I will be interviewing guests in and around the soccer world, like owners, investors, managers, culture builders, social activists, broadcasters, people who are pushing the game along and helping to grow the soccer community that we love so much here at the Women's Game. So new episodes will drop on Mondays.
You're so cool.
Stop it.
I am so excited. We're both launching new shows. We've got Mewis Squared on Friday. Then we've got Teaming Up with Becky Sauerbrunn on Monday. The TWG cinematic universe is just expanding.
There's just so much content. It is unbelievable.
There's going to be days where we're just hitting you guys with 7 episodes a week. And you're going to be like, I don't have time to listen to all of these.
So you should download them so that you can listen to them later.
Yes, exactly. Someday you'll have a long drive or train or plane or walk, and you'll just be out there listening to them all on 1.25 speed. Do you listen to your podcast sped up, Becky?
I absolutely do not, and I don't know how people do that.
Oh, I do it.
You do that. I know. I figured.
I wish I could. I wish I could do everything a little bit sped up. I just feel like I'm going a million miles an hour.
I mean, you got a lot going on in that dome of yours.
I do. I really, really do. So 2 new shows, so incredibly exciting. I'm so proud of them, proud of us, and I just can't wait for everybody to keep just getting to know us even better, Becky. I'm letting you all into every single little detail, you know?
Totally. How fortunate.
How fortunate is everybody? You have some details you're trying to let us in on, Becky. How have you been? What's going on? How's 8.5 months pregnancy?
Oh, I am 2 weeks away if this baby stays put. And I go in for this weekly monitoring and I go in on Friday with Zola and, they sit you in a chair and they put a monitor on my belly to get the fetal heart rate. And then another one to see if I'm kind of having any contractions.
Does everybody have weekly monitoring at this stage of pregnancy?
I think because I'm of quote, advanced maternal age, I do more monitoring than someone that maybe is a little younger.
Okay.
So I've gone in twice now. So this is my second session. First mistake. I had a late breakfast. I probably was a little dehydrated. I should have gone into the appointment just better prepared because they can take like an hour or so. And so I'm sitting in the chair and I'm starting to get heat flashes because of all like the hormonal fluctuation. So I would get a heat flash and I would start kind of panicking a little bit about the heat flash. And then my pulse would start racing. The nurse was kind of like, I see that you're sweating a little bit. Are you okay? And I'm like, I think I'm okay. I'm just kind of freaking out a little bit. And she's like, I'm gonna put a blood pressure cuff on you, pulse ox, just we're gonna monitor you as well as baby. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. So she puts the pulse ox on me, and my heart is at 120. Like my heart is racing for no reason. I am sitting down. I should be fine.
Why?
I don't know. I think the heat flashes and I was like sweating and I'm like, why am I sweating? Is the baby okay? The baby was completely fine. But I don't know. I got into like this bad cycle where
Oh
like a heat flash would
no.
happen, my heart rate would go up, my blood pressure would go down. And so we're kind of like monitoring the baby, monitoring me, and we're finally done with the monitoring of the baby. And so she takes everything off, and I kind of sit up because I was reclined, and I'm not doing well with reclining. It's just really uncomfortable. So I kind of like sit myself up, and I start noticing. Do you remember when you would run so hard in soccer that like basic like bodily systems would stop working? Like my vision started to go. I was
Yeah.
starting to lose my hearing a little bit. I'm like looking at Zola and I'm like, I think I'm gonna pass out. And I have never passed out before. So I'm like, I'm not quite sure what's happening, but I think I'm gonna pass out. And he just catches my head apparently. And I just go limp in the chair for like 15, 20 seconds. My body was just like, nope, you need to reset. We are shutting down everything. And so I was just out for 15 seconds. And apparently I came to, and there's like 3 more people in the room that weren't there before, and I was like, "I totally just passed out, didn't I?" And they're like, "Yeah. How you doing?" And I'm like, "You know what? I feel way better because I really did."
Literally what?
They gave me some snacks and some juice boxes, and I just got my blood sugar level back to a good spot. My blood pressure was fine again, my pulse was fine. I just like worked myself up so much that my body was like, "All right, you need a system reboot."
Sorry, I'm like nervous, so I'm gonna make a joke that like you just needed to get like unplugged and plugged back in.
No, it was literally like a Nintendo system where you just need to like shut off the console, blow into the cartridge, put it back in, and everything's fine.
What did they like just say? Yeah, you're 8.5 months pregnant. Sometimes your body just like zzz.
Oh yeah, it was just like a culmination. I was laughing. I like apologized to all the nurses and I'm like, I am so sorry that
Oh,
I'm being so high maintenance.
Reba.
Can I have some more apple juice?
Yeah, can you please keep bringing me snacks and juice?
I need more snackies. So yeah, so that happened. Yeah, I know. The baby passed with flying colors, like he's doing great.
Okay,
But
good.
yeah, mom's a little bit of a stress ball apparently.
Well, it's a lot.
It is a lot, and to all the moms, or soon to be moms, like, I salute you because this is not the easiest thing ever.
Wow, I salute you all as well. I really do. You guys are just like so literally, I'm not being like funny. You guys are like so brave.
I'm starting to realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Becky. Well, like literally we're thinking of you. I hope that you don't have any more of those episodes and that you just have all the apple juice that your little heart desires.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I don't even really know what to report in host chat today. I have been living many lives. People are literally going to be like, what is this girl doing? But I went to another wedding on Friday. I once again had such an incredible time. I told myself I was going to leave at 8:30 and I didn't leave until 9:45. Like I just was dancing. Like who can stop me? Try to rip me away from the dance floor. Good luck.
I would never dare. How's your knee faring, though?
It's definitely not great because I've also been like doing a wee bit of traveling. I just, I'm in my yes phase for some reason where ask me to do something, the answer is going to be yes. And it's like, all right, Sam, you probably are going to have to start chilling out for a second, but I'm doing it all. I'm just doing it all. Pat's in law school. He's busy. So I'm just like, yep, I'm doing it.
Have you ever gone through a phase in your life where you've been a yes person? Like, is this like you're just repeating history here? Because I've only done it one time.
Oh, and what was the result?
Like a life-changing, beautiful experience. No, a little bit of exhaustion, but of course, because I'm an introvert, so, like, saying yes to social things can be very draining, but it was when I went over to play In Norway, I promised myself that I would say yes to everything that was asked. And so I spent like almost every evening at someone's apartment making dinner, watching shows that were dubbed in English, and just like it was so amazing.
That is really, really wonderful, and I think I've remember you telling me that story before, and it made your, like, time in Norway more memorable and, like, more special because you were just, like, uncharacteristically open to everything.
Yep. Uncharacteristically open is a good way of putting it. A good way of
Not
putting it.
not that you're not open, but you are an introvert, so I can imagine sometimes it's good for you to have a balance of saying yes and no.
It's healthy to be able to say no. It's good to have boundaries.
I agree. I think I'm aware of what I'm doing. I'm doing it. I'm having fun. I'm being busy, and we'll see where it goes.
As your voice gives away
As
again.
my voice cracks. That was a good little intro. Becky, we do have a couple heavy topics that we want to get into before we start the soccer stuff. In really devastating news, former Liverpool and Boston Breakers head coach Matt Beard has died. The news was announced on Saturday and was met with stories of his life and career from so many people in the soccer world. And all of the tributes that I read recalled Matt's warmth, his caring nature, and his friendly personality. I know my sister played for him. I know he will be dearly missed by the soccer community. And so our hearts go out to his family at what must be a really difficult and sad time.
Yeah, our condolences to his family and to every life he touched. I was reading all these tributes from fellow managers and players. It just shows how positive an impact he had on just so many lives. He truly was a force of good, and the soccer community has lost a good one. And I really hope his legacy just lives on through all those who had the good fortune to know him.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a beautiful legacy to leave behind. And I know that, that will carry forward, but obviously it's a huge loss and it's really devastating. We do have one more thing we want to bring up here at the top. It's another difficult one. And look, everybody, this podcast main goal is to bring you soccer stories, to bring you joy, but sometimes Becky, Lynn, and I feel it's necessary to speak to some of the less joyful events that are going on, especially when they intersect so directly with our sport. So, as many of you are aware, last week Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air after the network hosting his show caved to pressure from the Trump administration. The good news is that it's been announced that Jimmy Kimmel will be returning to live television tonight, but I do think this issue is still worth talking about, Becky. And something that it took me a moment, honestly, to realize was that Angel City owner Bob Iger is also the CEO of Disney, which is the parent company of ABC, which is the company that ultimately made the call to remove Jimmy Kimmel from the air. And I think when I made that connection, it was really unsettling to me. There are lots of really horrifying injustices going on in the world right now, and I think sometimes it feels safer to just go about our days and pretend that these things aren't maybe close enough to impact us, or maybe aren't our business or aren't our place. But these things do impact us. I never expected to see a decision like this, like Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air, to have any sort of NWSL connection. And what it really was a wake up call that everything happening right now impacts all of us. And we all have a responsibility to respond. And I think my response is that if people and corporations in positions of power don't uphold our rights, like freedom of speech, then our rights are literally just words on paper.
I think that's really well said. Unsettled is a great way of putting it. When I made the connection between Bob Iger, Disney, and Angel City, I was mad and also scared. And I think about Angel City, and back in June, the players and the supporters wore the shirts that read Immigrant City Football Club, and how like loudly declaring their support for the immigrant population in LA and also protesting the ICE raids that were happening. And it was such a beautiful show of support and defiance. And I think that's just something so special about women's soccer. The players and the supporters use their voices and their platforms to defend and empower. And how often we watch a game on the television or in the stadium and you see a banner hanging above the field that reads "Trans people belong"? And that was a league-wide campaign in direct response to the current administration's anti-trans legislation, like the banning of trans people from playing sports with the gender they identify with. Bob Iger is the owner of a team with players and supporters who openly support populations of people that are being directly targeted by the same administration he capitulated to with taking a talk show host off the air. We know that Trump has no qualms in the past with targeting women's soccer players. 2019 World Cup is an example. And if
Mm.
his eye turns to the league, will we also be censored? Some leagues already are trying to police what banners can be shown in stadiums if they're deemed too political. And could the NWSL be next if those posters and banners and t-shirts don't align with the current administration's policies? We need people in these decision-making rooms who are willing to fight for our basic rights. And my hope is that those people will stand up for us when it counts the most.
Yeah, thank you for addressing all of that, Becky. I think that obviously this podcast and this platform is a community that's really important to us. We obviously also understand that we have a responsibility. So our goal with bringing this up here is to just show you all that we see these things happening too. We're scared too, and we as a media company feel the need to acknowledge that it's happening and kind of open the door to discuss it and acknowledge it. So if you have anything that you want to share with us, you can send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. We're in this together. And I think it's time we can move on to some NWSL stuff. Very big news, very exciting, though really not at all unexpected, is that the Kansas City Current won the Shield this weekend, which I think actually I might have predicted at the start of the season. And I'm wondering, Becky, if you think I'm a genius or was that really obvious to everybody?
Did you think you predicted it or you did predict it? Did
I
you go back and actually like parse
No,
the
but
words out?
I remember. I did. I said well, you wanna know what I
Um,
said? I said I think Kansas City will
I
win
do.
the Shield, but Spirit will win the championship, which I don't know if that will
Oh,
come
could
true.
still happen. So I think genius
Yeah,
because
of
we
course,
all
it's
knew
me.
we all knew they'd be good. I mean, you are a genius. We all knew they'd be good like last season. But they didn't end the season as well as they started it. So there was always the question of, would history repeat itself, which it absolutely did not. And so testament to that whole staff and to the
Mm,
players kind of fixing the rights or fixing the wrongs from last season. And yeah, you're a genius, Sam. I tell you that all the time.
yeah. Well, thanks, Becky, and that's our show for the day. No, just kidding. So, Kansas City won their game. They beat Seattle 2-0. They had a penalty kick goal from Dabinia and then a header from Temwa Schwinga. And Becky, Temwa's celebration with Blacko was, like, so cute, and everybody was literally so fired up. Did you see that?
I did, and I was kinda confused because I was like, "Wow, they're, like, really celebrating," and I I was like, "Okay, what something else has to be happening." Was it because Temwa's goal tied her up with Astaire for the Golden Boot race? And then I saw it was also Temwa's 27th birthday, so I'm like, "Oh, is it like a birthday thing?" And then also, Becky, this is basically ensuring they're gonna win a shield. Of course, they're gonna celebrate hard, but I'm like, was there something else that was happening?
Well, I actually think there was because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, they didn't celebrate Dabinia's penalty goal this hard, and that was the first goal. But so what I ended up seeing, and I don't know if this had to do with Temwa's birthday or it was something like Temwa and Vlatko made a bet that if Temwa scored a header, Vlatko would have to dye his hair teal.
That would be
And
worth all the money in the
I
world.
literally I know, and so I think that Temwa scores a header, and then she's laughing and running over to Blacko, and Blacko's laughing, and he's celebrating, and then the whole team is kind of like in on it, and I can like so see this being something that would go on in this Kansas City locker room, and I hope they like hold him to it. Can you imagine Blacko walks out with teal hair?
I have not seen that man's hairstyle change since I played for him in 2013.
I know. It would be so funny. But yeah, I love to see Kansas City celebrating like this. It's like so clearly just a signal of their good culture. They have been so dominant this season. 17 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. They have a plus 30 goal differential, which means they've scored 30 more goals than they've let up. The next team closest to them on goal differential is Gotham and they have a positive 10 goal differential. And I'm just like, that's such a gap. And I'm curious what that stat in particular kind of says to you, Becky, about Kansas City.
It just says it's pure dominance. 40 goals for and only 10 goals against. 10 goals against is what I really want to highlight, like shocking defender. That is extraordinary. Like we can no longer joke, Sammy, mostly you, because you joke more about this, about the current winning games 5-4.
I know.
Now they're just
I
winning games
won't
by
let that
5.
one go. Everybody's like, Sam, that happened literally one time. Can you shut up?
Honestly, I'm not surprised that the defense became such a focus for
Mm.
Flacco because after last season, I really think he's always prided himself so much on his team's defense. And I bet there was so much work that was done over the course of the offseason and leading into this season, and it has really paid off because 10 goals against is like, wow.
I know. It's really, really impressive. Speaking of improvement, something interesting that I've been thinking about a lot with like, we've the last few weeks on the show, we've been talking a lot about salary cap and the NWSL versus the WSL and parity. And I've been thinking about how the best NWSL team, the Kansas City Current, would do against the best WSL team, which right now is Chelsea. Last week, we spoke about how Chelsea was potentially the best roster in the world. So, for our Lollipop Gut Check of the Week this week, who would win, the Kansas City Current or Chelsea?
I would love to see this game happen. I think the Current would win if they played the same attacking style that they've played all season. Go direct when it's on, allow your special players to do special things, stay organized behind the ball. I think Chelsea and any team in existence would struggle to keep up with the Current right now. What about you?
Well, the keyword there for me is right now because I think I agree. Like Kansas City Current are in incredible form. They are, at 3/4 of the way through the season. They're doing so great. I think Chelsea, for example, is, still warming up, still finding their best form for the season. They also have some really key players out injured right now, like Naomi Girma, Lauren James, and Lucy Bronze. I think both teams, full form, full fitness, I might lean Chelsea. But I think it would be a high
Okay.
scoring game. I do, because I do think Kansas City would be getting some goals on the board. I do.
You think it'd be 5-4?
Potentially. But I have to like hold myself accountable because I'm not allowed to literally last week say that Chelsea has the best roster in the entire world and then this week say that I think Kansas City could beat them. Somebody has to hold me accountable, and like today I'm going to do it for myself.
That's good. That is progress.
Yeah, it is progress because you know how I like to flip flop. All right, that was our Lollipop Gut Check of the Week. Please let us know in the comments who you think would win in a showdown between the Kansas City Current and Chelsea. But again, a huge congratulations to the Current. I actually also, Becky, I really enjoyed watching them celebrate. I kind of played there, even though I didn't play, for one season in 2022, and it was a group of people and friends and players that was like so kind to me when I was like literally having the worst year of my life. And I think this group deserves it. I think the best part about it for me was that it demonstrates how investment is the key to success. It's like, do you want to win the league? Build your own stadium.
It is certainly a statement to the rest of the league. The first to have a stadium, one of the first, if not the first, to have their own training facility. They've set a standard of professionalism that a lot of other markets are trying to emulate right now. And good. What's that phrase we like to use? The rising tide raises all boats.
I love that phrase.
Let's raise those boats.
Yeah, let's raise those boats. I do love it. I think it's just exactly, it's a signal to the rest of the league. The more you invest, the more you put into it, the more seriously you take it, the better your team will do. All right. Elsewhere, we had some big results. We had some really big goals. I want to start with the Spirit versus Angel City game, in which we saw 20-year-old Evelyn Shores, fresh out of UNC. She's on Angel City. She scored her first NWSL goal off a cross and some really great 1v1 wide play from Giselle Thompson. Riley Tiernan, also, who's I think definitely going to win Rookie of the Year. She also made a goal happen for Angel City. It counted as an own goal, but it was kind of her mastery in there. And Angel City, while they're still not really checking all the boxes right now with results, they tied this game. They undoubtedly have a bright future with all this youth.
Yeah, I have always despised the term rebuilding season because it has like such a poor connotation that the season has been given up on and all eyes
Yeah,
are
that
on
it's
the
like a
future. And I've
wash.
heard that kind of Yeah, I've heard that kind of being bandied about, but I do not see that with this Angel City group. Every game has a lot of fight and a lot of pride, and I've enjoyed really seeing these players come into their own in, like you said, kind of a difficult circumstance right now.
I want Angel City to be good for the same reason that the Current is good. It's like when you get invested in, I want the team to, show that that's worth it. They, like I said, they ended up tying this game. And on the other end, for the Spirit, Trinity Rodman scored a goal. It was a rebound from a PK that she actually had saved, but then she followed up. She scored the rebound. And then later, Croy Bethune scored an incredible, like really aggressive, like challenged header off this like perfectly placed Lacey Santos cross. It was like kind of a narrow cross, and Croy like went up for it and like got challenged, but just like was strong and won it. And I love to see that. I loved Croy's celebration. These teams tied 2-2.
Did you see the play leading into Trin's PK? Because she saw an opening for a Meg, took it. There's a bit of a cluster. Other
Yeah.
players are in the way. She reads the play well, comes out with the ball on the other side only to get tackled after an attacking touch. And it just like it's just been so good to see Trin back getting
Yeah.
consistent minutes on the field again. And Croy's header, my word, that like there is no stopping that. It was like you said, it was powerful, it was well placed. Some bangers this weekend, and those are two of them.
Yeah, I know. And then there were some more bangers. Like I was watching the goal of the week like nominees, and like I think 3 of the 4 are from this Utah Louisville game. Every goal in this game was like sick. And it was like uh, we should all be flipping out about this goal, but then literally somebody else in the same game would like also score a banger. Utah beat Louisville 3-2. Tanaka had some fancy footwork and a volley at the top of the box. Did you see that one, Becky?
Yes, yes.
That one was sick. And then Johnny Thompson and Chloe Lacasse followed up with bangers themselves for Utah. Janine Sonis had a beautiful free kick goal for Louisville alongside a really solid finish from Emma Sears, but Louisville lost their 3rd game in a row. Well, Utah takes all 3 points and moves up a spot in the table. They're not in last this week.
Go on, Utah. I really just want to give Tanaka a little bit
Yeah.
more love with that goal because she has that little top hat touch to set up the volley. And it was such a masterclass in technique and composure. And I'm always, when I watch people do these kind of things, I'm like, what is going through your head in this moment that you have the composure to do that? And it actually reminded me of a goal that Alex Morgan scored against Germany in a She Believes game. Do you
Oh,
know which one
yeah.
I'm talking
I
about?
do. The one Kling
Did you
played it to her.
Yeah, and did you also score in that game?
Oh, I did score in a She Believes game against Germany. Maybe it was the same game, but my goal was like very much an accident, and Alex's was like very much not.
And I also just want to give a little bit of love to the Janine Sonis goal
I know.
because that free kick, I don't know what it is, but this season I feel like free kicks are really like having a moment.
Same. I used to work on free kicks all the time. I've scored one, and it was like I would work on them as like this beautiful curling bent ball that goes up and over the wall. Never scored that. I scored one time for the national team. I scored just a blunt force boot into the far post as hard as possible, blind. Just whale it.
So what's your conversion rate, do you think? Like one goal out of how many free kicks have you taken?
Like at the professional level, I probably only took at shooting like 20,
Okay, that's not a bad conversion rate.
1 for 20.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, are you my number one taker? Probably not.
No, 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 no. I just need to be like bull in a china shop. Like you just need me crashing in, throwing bows, getting in there.
Tower of power.
I know what I'm good at.
You're useful on both sides of it though, taking and finishing. So
Anyways, bad news for Louisville that they lost the game. Good news out of Louisville. Despite their recent slump, Savannah DeMello is home in Louisville and doing well. So I was happy to hear that she's recovering and doing well after that recent scare where she collapsed on the field.
yeah, that's amazing news about Sav. I'm glad she's back in Louisville. Hope she's recovering well.
Yes. Gotham and Bay tied 1-1. I was so psyched when Rose scored. Thought that meant Gotham was going to win, but then Rachel Kundananji scores a literal banger. Also, one of the goals that I was just like, okay, well, that was sick. And I'd say my overall takeaways from this weekend, sorry, but Orlando, Louisville, San Diego, not getting their best results right now. North Carolina, kind of back, kind of pushing for a playoff spot again. Angel City is teetering on having a rebuilding year and being out. Gotham's doing better. And Utah, baby, I'm here for the Royals. You've got a new fan. That's my 10-second takeaway of the weekend.
Do you think Utah has a chance of making playoffs?
Like, no, but like they're doing their darndest.
I know I was checking out their last 5 results and I'm thinking like if they continue this form for the rest of the season, it's pretty impressive. They have 3 wins and 2 ties in their last 5 games, which is similar to Gotham, who's sitting in 3rd place. It's actually better than the Spirit's last 5 results and they sit in 2nd, and it's only surpassed by the Current who have won 4 and tied 1 in their last 5.
I just think somebody would have to crash out in order for Utah to climb that high. Somebody would have to like stop getting points altogether. That's like above 8th.
But Orlando has had a rough go of it since losing Barbara Banda to a
Yeah.
season-ending injury. I wonder, Sam, like what is happening there? They have a strong roster, and the results just aren't reflecting that.
No, I know. What's the Gen Z term for is it crashing out?
Sam, why would I know that?
I think Gen Z is saying like, "Oh, she's crashing out." And it's like she's spiraling out of control and like doing bad. Orlando's kind of crashing out. Like, sorry. What's happening? You're right, Becky. They haven't won a game since before the summer break, and most of those they've been without Barbara Banda. So I do think that that's like obviously a common denominator. Thank you, Bill Nye the Science Guy, for pointing out the obvious. But like, I think what happens when you lose your most prolific go-to player, especially in that position, you've set your whole team up to get Barbara Banda to score. And they've had other players like step up in the interim, but they're just not trained at doing something else. And that sometimes is why I think the most valuable teams, their goal scoring is spread out, their tactical options going forward are more spread out. I think even to an extent, Kansas City, yes, they have Temo Chwinga, but Dabinia has 6 goals on the year. That like diversity going forward helps protect against your star player getting injured and helps your team kind of have other options if it ever does come down to that. And so I feel like Orlando, I mean, it's not like they've been playing terribly every week. They're like some games they do all right. They've gotten a bunch of ties. That dominance that we saw from them last year, I do think is partly teetering because they're without Barbara Banda. They've also lost Morgan Gautrat, who was consistent for them in the midfield. And I just kind of feel like something isn't clicking over there.
Yeah, it might just take a while for them to kind of reprogram how they want to play and their style of play and the tactics.
Yeah, definitely. Could they crash out all the way and leave a window open for Utah? Crazier things have happened. I need to do the math on it, but crazier things have happened. If Utah, because so there's 5 games left, so that's 15 points on the table. Yeah, could they clear it? Yeah, I think they just could. If a team up there
Wow.
gets 0 points. But I'd have to do the math. We'll report back on that more once I've had time to do my sciences. All right, everybody. Like I said, there's only 5 more NWSL games before playoffs. But the WSL and Champions League are just getting started. So we've got more for you from across the pond when we get back from a break. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I had Chelsea's game circled on my calendar again this weekend because last weekend it was just so exciting to see Sam Kerr back and Alyssa Thompson making her Chelsea debut. So this weekend, Chelsea beat Leicester City 1-0, thanks to an early goal from Aggie Beaver Jones. That's already her 3rd of the season in 3 games. We did see Sam and Alyssa both sub into the game, but Leicester made it pretty tough on Chelsea. And Becky, I know this game was on at 4 a.m. your time, so I hope you didn't watch it. But I do feel like Chelsea's last 2 opponents, Leicester City and Aston Villa, really like gave them a good game, kind of not unexpectedly, but like a really good game. And I'm wondering if you think this is a sign of like a growing competitive balance in the WSL, like more parity, or if it's more of that situation where like Chelsea are just always going to get everybody's best game.
I think it's both. I
Yeah.
think it could be really easy for teams to get scored on early by Chelsea and to just pack up the shop and cut their losses by trying to keep their goal differential down. But historically, has that worked for any team that's gone up against Chelsea? And so I feel like, well, let's not just keep doing the same things over and over again. And let's change it up. Let's make it a game, make it tough for them. And it's a testament to the league that teams are able to do that now. So I do think it's both. Am I thinking, like you said earlier, that Chelsea might just need like a little bit of a warming up period to get into the season? Yes. And so I think we'll just have to see how results play out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, fair point. They have a bunch of players coming off of an exhausting summer. They have a bunch of players coming off injury or still injured. So I'm not flip flopping on thinking Chelsea has the best roster in the world by any means. But I do think when you're like the top dog, you get everybody's best game. That actually will be really potentially good for Chelsea as they think about, okay, we've been falling short in Champions League. They need to get challenged every week and they need to find new different ways of scoring goals and winning games and pulling it out and defending until the last minute. And so I think that, other teams really showing up against Chelsea will help them. Other big news, the London City Lionesses got their first WSL win ever thanks to a brace from Isabel Goodwin, who is a 22-year-old forward. She won player of the season and the Golden Boot last year in the WSL 2 with London City. And I think it was so cool to see a young player who had a great year last year down a league. She's stepping up to the next level and she's continuing to have success. So I'm super excited to see the impact that Isabel can have on London City this season in this top tier division. She could really like make a name for herself this season.
It's such a cool story. You play in the championship, you have a real influence on getting the team promoted to the top flight, and then you carry over that impact with the new group. And it's awesome to see players like that be rewarded. And I haven't like checked the roster to see how many of those players from the championship transferred over to this new roster. I can't imagine it's been a lot of players because, we kept hearing about all these new signings that were
Yeah,
happening. So it's probably like a very new roster. And so it's so cool to see Isabel, carry that on, carry that influence onto this roster. And it's just like you should reward players and people like that with these clubs because that's how you build the fan base and you build loyalty. It's two players
totally.
like this that have fought for this club to be where they are.
Totally agree. It's like a player like that could become, yes, London City will make star international signings, but a player like Isabel Goodwin, who's been with them like from the ground up, it's like such an incredible heartbeat of the team and the fans and the community to like build around. So I loved seeing that. I'm excited to like keep my eye on her this season. Manchester United and Arsenal tied their WSL game 0-0. But United were coming off that midweek Champions League qualifier game that saw them beat Braun and secure their place in the Champions League for the first time in club history. So the Champions League draw then happened on Friday, and we found out which clubs in Europe will be facing off for that prestigious trophy. And there's a new format this season, Becky. So I thought, even for my own sake, we should probably dive into a little bit of a Champions League new format explainer because I feel like, Becky, the more I think I know doing this job, the less I know, you know?
Totally.
So the Champions League is back and bigger than ever with 18 total teams, all of whom were sorted into groups based on their UEFA ranking. So for the league phase that's happening this fall, every team is playing 6 games against different teams from their group. When those games are done in December, all results are compared on the table. The top 4 teams will move on directly to the quarterfinal. The teams in the middle of the table will duke it out in a knockout stage, and the bottom of the table will be eliminated. Is this complicated? Yes, but it does give us more games, more teams, and a more competitive, like thrilling tournament. So now that those league phase games are set, I'd love to talk about some of the showdowns that we can't wait to see.
Sam, the game that caught my eye was Chelsea versus Barcelona. It'll be on November 20th. Last year, Chelsea was looking so good in the Women's Super League. Everyone was wondering if this would be the year to finally win the Champions League trophy that has always eluded them. But in the semifinal, they needed to play big bad Barcelona, who kind of destroyed them, beating
Yeah.
them 4-1 in both legs. Now this year is a very different Chelsea. Sam Kerr is back. Alyssa Thompson's in the lineup. Naomi Girma will soon be ready for action. Sam, if it were you, would you rather play them now at the start or later in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I do have a feeling that they could play each other both now and later on. And I think that with matchups like that, like, matchups that are circled in red on literally everybody's calendar, I think it's helpful for both teams to get that early exposure to like a big dog. You kind of like, from Chelsea's perspective, Barcelona is a different team now. They've lost a lot of players. So you'll kind of understand what you're up against and you can mentally prepare better for something that you've faced before. I think when I played in Champions League for Man City and we played against Barcelona, the first time I played against them, I was like shocked. Like I hadn't heard of a lot of them. And we were playing at this random field because it was COVID. So it was like not a home game for either of us. And I was kind of like, oh my God, we're Man City. We're so good. Like, and we lost 3-0. And I was like so overwhelmed by Alexia. I was just rattled. And I think had I maybe seen that level of dominance sooner, I would have gone into that game being like, okay, you got to keep your shit together because this team's really, really good. And so I think in that way, facing a team like that early can be really, really helpful later on. Another big Champions League phase game that I'm excited about. We're going to be getting a serious goalkeeper showdown when Paris Saint-Germain and former Lioness Mary Earps faces off against her old team, Manchester United, on November 12th. Mary Earps was the goalkeeper at United for 5 years, but now that's American sensation and marine biologist Fallon Joyce's job. So we've got Mary Earps with her new team, PSG, Fallon Joyce with Mary Earps' old team, Manchester United. And as a bonus, this game is also going to feature our TWG pal, Crystal Dunn, who plays for PSG. I'm really excited to see Fallon play in her first Champions League.
She has been in such good form, and it'll be great for her to get that European experience. And also, that only benefits the U.S. women's national team as friendlies will start to resume, and also like all eyes to next year and qualifying for the World Cup. So, like, kind of an important time. And speaking of Americans, Captain Lindsay Heaps and Lily Johannes will be taking the field for the French club Lyonnais. Lyonnais have won this tournament 8 times, the most of any team in history. But last year they got knocked out in the semifinals by Arsenal, a team which they will face again in this league phase, actually coming right up as one of the first match days on October 7th. Is it too soon to ask for predictions? Who are you seeing in the final?
It's literally always too soon to ask me for predictions. I am psyched to be able to watch all of these league phase games because I think this new format is going to add an interesting dynamic to the tournament and like just give us, I don't know, a different way of doing it. I want this to be Chelsea's year. And yes, I'm obviously biased because I just want Sam Kerr to have everything good in the world, but there just comes a time where it's just time for Chelsea to win the Champions League, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a little nepotism never hurt anyone either.
All right, everybody. That was our Champions League explainer. If you still have questions, which I do too, tell me about it. Let us know here in the YouTube comments if you want more info on Champions League or talk about it with us on Discord. We have to take one more quick break, but we've got news and nicknames when we get back, hot dogs. All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got some news for you, starting with the Ballon d'Or winners from yesterday. This was a really fun ceremony to watch. It's like women's soccer's Met Gala. Everybody looked so glamorous. The acceptance speeches were so great. DJ Snake was there. What more could you ask for?
I actually don't know who DJ Snake
I
is.
don't either.
Okay. And if you're not familiar, these awards can go to players from anywhere in the world, but there is a kind of European bias. So I was disappointed, but not too surprised that no one from the NWSL or any of the Americans that play in Europe won.
However, there were lots of great moments. Vicky Lopez, who plays for Barcelona, won Best Young Player. And then Serena Wiegmann won Women's Team Coach of the Year. And she gave a great speech reminding the world that everyone belongs in women's football.
I love that. We also heard from Renee Slagers, who spoke when Arsenal won Team of the Year. She used her platform to talk about how important it is to invest in women's sports. Hannah Hampton won the first ever Women's Yashin Trophy for goalkeeping, which shocked nobody after her outstanding Euros performance. It was also really nice to see her use her big moment to talk about Matt Beard and men's mental health.
Eva Pajor won Best Striker, and she is another Barcelona player, but she's also from Poland and is just such a hero to the whole soccer community there. So it was really cool to see her win such a prestigious award. But of course, everyone was watching for the big award, the Ballon d'Or itself. There were so many great names on this list, players from all over the world, but it went to who else but Aitana Bonmati. She won for a third straight year for her brilliant performances for both Barcelona and Spain.
I know it really does seem a little anticlimactic that Barcelona ran away with so many of these awards, but the players on the women's team there have been putting up with so much unfairness from the club, losing funding to fix issues on the men's side, which has led to losing players. So I don't know. It was nice to be reminded that those women are who make that club great.
Totally. I mean, it's always cool to see, I want to say fellow players. I guess I'm not like a fellow player anymore, but to see these players get celebrated and rewarded, like there's going to be so much talk about who got what award and who should have got it, and that's fun. Like that's fair. It's an award. Like it's also meant to kind of spark conversation. And right now, the conversation is happening around if Aitana truly was the best in the world this year. She was up against Mariana Caldente and even Alessia Russo. And I think it's great and important to ask these questions of the journalists who vote for this award and even propose ways to improve the voting and therefore the prestige of the award itself. But overall, this is great. It's really fun. It's great for the game, and celebrating these players is like always a win. I want to turn towards some news a little bit closer to home. The NWSL has announced that they will hold 2 combines to help identify and provide up and coming players with a pathway into the league. Combines are used in other leagues like the NFL, and they're essentially scouting events that give players a chance to show prospective clubs what they can do in place of a draft. So there will be one combine for players aged 18 to 23, which is being described as an on-ramp into the league. And then there will be a second combine for players 13 to 17, a children's combine, if you will, that's supposed to serve as a bridge to prepare players for going pro. Becky, what did you think when you heard they were going to start doing this?
I have always thought that talent identification and the pathways to becoming a professional player in this country need to be so much better on the women's side. And I do think this is a really good first step. And if I was struggling to procure interest from a team I wanted to play on, I would have loved this opportunity to kind of bet on myself and show my stuff. But the combines are invite only. And to my understanding, there's only going to be one for each group in 2025. And I just think of all the players with professional aspirations that maybe didn't play for the biggest collegiate teams or club teams and are really flying under the radar. And luckily, the women's game has grown so much in the country that there are so many more opportunities, like, especially when you compare to when we first started out playing. But I do think that the next steps are, how do we provide even more opportunities for more players to showcase their talents? And also, especially if you're over the age of 23, what happens to those players?
What about, like, open tryouts? Like, what was that movie where the Philadelphia Eagles guy went to open tryouts and, like, made the team? Invincible. What was it called?
I think you're right. I think he was invincible.
Such a good movie. Yeah, I mean, you can always do an open tryout, but I agree. I think especially for this young crop of talent who the draft is like a little bit of guidance. The draft is like a roadmap. It's like, okay, I go to college and or I, enter the draft and I see where I stand and I see what my options are. Like, and without that, there's like no roadmap. You kind of like don't really know where you belong or what you should do unless you like go sign for a team. So I think that the combine sounds like a good thing. I'm like excited. I want to like
Yeah.
go report on it and like watch them do the 40-yard dash.
Oh my gosh, know I was reading that there'll be, like, physical and technical testing, and I was like, "Ooh, I wonder what that's gonna be."
Literally, yeah. Like I would be so nervous if I was a player,
I
but
know.
it'll be cool. I mean, I think like it's worth a try. And I think anything to kind of give some structure to these young players who may not know exactly where they stand or like what their, roadmap should look like. All right. I want to head over to the inbox where instead of one email with one question today, instead we have a compilation of messages from folks who feel strongly about the nickname that was proposed for our Good Vibes listeners last week. Becky, I don't know if you heard what happened with Lynn and I, but basically, I proposed that we start calling the listeners of this show, these wonderful people, our best friends in a way, that we start calling them the hot dogs.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I myself love hot dogs, and I think there's, like, ways we can play on it as well, and so I'm open to that. I'm not saying, like, that's for sure it, but, like, yeah, I'm game.
Um, Everybody, I feel like we just are gonna convince anybody who is holding out, any stragglers, even Becky's in. So you gotta be in. Becky, I hope I didn't steal your baby name.
I sadly, I cannot comment on that.
Okay, so for the inbox, everybody, this week, we're going to read some of your responses. Jenny emailed and said, my suggestion for a nickname for the listeners would either be the Bananas or the Banana Stands. Is it the best idea ever? Probably not, but I thought it had a good ring to it. Jenny, it's a good one. The Bananas is good. I don't like that you said, is it the best idea ever? Probably not.
I mean, it is such an homage to you, Sammy, because you are Sammy Bananas and it's the banana phone and all of that. You are our fearless leader. So if we went with like the nanners or bananas or banana stands, like I'd be okay with that too.
I think it's too I think for good vibes listeners, it needs to be more of a trio thing. I have
Okay.
iterated on Sammy Banana Phone and I've called the callers banana heads. Banana heads, you know who you are. So banana heads are for the Sammy Banana Phone. Let's move on to Lisa, who emailed, hi ladies, I was listening to the pod and how you are wanting a name for your listeners. While hot dogs is interesting, I think you both inadvertently came up with an idea when you two were talking about how Sam loves tortilla chips, Lynn loves potato chips. Maybe your listeners can become chippers or chippies. Does Becky have a fave too? Just a thought.
I mean, I like chips a lot. Give me some salt and vinegar or like honey hickory, I could do that. Chippers or chippies, like chipper kind of goes with vibes, You gotta I don't know. I'm trying here. It's not my favorite.
Lisa, it was great. We really appreciate you and we really appreciate all of your ideas. I'm not sold. It's you're gonna have to drag me away from hot dogs with a pitchfork. Let's move on to Helena. I am absolutely desperate to be referred to as a good vibes hot dog. Please follow through on this idea. Helena, I knew from the moment we got this message that I loved you.
I mean, can't you just see the merch with like a hot dog and the bun and like the hot dog is like dancing and has like a smiley face?
Oh my god, I'm
And it
literally
just like
dead.
kind of fits
Think of the
perfectly.
merch. Think of the merch.
Think of the merch.
Think of the Good Vibes Hot Dogs merch.
Ugh, There's a lot of
You get a
potential
good
there.
vibes hot dog. You get a good vibes hot dog. I want to do 2 little hot dogs where the boobs are supposed to be. I want to do hot dog hats. I want to do Happy Feet slippers that are hot dogs. Do you remember Happy Feet slippers?
I don't, but I can picture it in my head.
Hot dog slippers. I just it's
At our live shows, we could have just hot dog carts for everybody. Just hot dogs. Made your way.
all right. I think we're going to leave it at that. Helena, you're the goat. Hot dogs, you're all the goat. I'm voting hot dog. I don't know who the decision maker is around here, but you're hot dogs to me, and you always will be. Okay, Becky, sadly, this is the end of the podcast. But before we go, let's leave our hot dogs with a good vibe.
So I think it's no surprise that I am a fall and winter girly. And finally, we got a rainy day here in Portland. I woke up to the sound of rain, to an overcast sky, to a temperature that didn't suck the soul out of my body. And it was so amazing. So I went and stocked up on my vitamin D supplements in preparation for when the weather truly turns. I am so looking forward to that.
Wow, Becky, that is a good vibe. Fall is
It
a good
is.
vibe. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like so here for that. My good vibe is that my mom made me a funfetti cake to celebrate my birthday like 2 weeks early. I'm going to London, and then I'm like gonna like be a ship in the night with my parents while they go to London, so they're gonna miss my birthday. So she made me a funfetti cake, and supposedly my dad helped, and we had funfetti cake together on Saturday night while we watched the Kansas City current game, and it was really, really nice.
That sounds so lovely. Is funfetti your favorite?
Funfetti is my favorite. And
It's
I
so
am just
good.
also bringing this up now so that everybody in my life, I'm looking at you, hot dogs, starts to think about my birthday. You know, it's about 2.5 weeks away. So just keep it in mind as you go about your days.
Do you like icing on your funfetti cakes?
Yeah, yes, just vanilla icing with sprinkles.
Vanilla icing with the fun. Oh, okay. Well, geez, you're asking for a lot now.
Do you like funfetti cake?
I love funfetti cake, and it just kind of reminds me that whenever someone would have a birthday on the national team, there would always be funfetti cake. That was like the thing that you would
I
get, and
know.
everyone looked forward to it because you would get a slice of funfetti cake in camp.
It was the best.
It was the best.
Do you remember at national team camp, like they would like put dessert out like on specific nights, like, yep, here's your night to have dessert. But then you'd like not want the coaches to see you at the dessert table.
Yeah, I think I kind of grew out of that, and I was just like, look, I just put in a shift, so I'm going to enjoy my little bit of chia pudding. And if you judge me for this, then fine, I will accept that.
I would just like always wait for Jill and Tony to like turn their back or like leave the room. Meanwhile,
Why are we like this?
What I know now is that Jill and Tony were not thinking about whether or not Sam Mewis was having ice cream. I know that from my 1 week of coaching experience. They were thinking about a million other things and not my ice cream. If only I could go back and just freely enjoy my vanilla ice cream.
All that dessert.
Okay, everybody, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. A huge announcement that I think you all probably already know about, but Sam Kerr is our Friendlies episode on Thursday, so make sure you check out that interview. It's going to be airing as a premiere on YouTube at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That just means we can all watch it together, which is like so fun. So log on to YouTube at 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. We can all watch Sam Kerr together, but then you can also watch it back anytime after that. So if you miss it, it's fine. It's still there. And then Mewis Squared on Friday, teaming up on Monday. Is this the most incredible weekend ever that we have coming up? Make sure you're subscribed to the Women's Game YouTube channel so you don't miss any of this. You can also join us on Discord. You can follow along across all social media. All right, I'm done.
I'm Becky Sabrin.
And I'm Sam Mewis. Okay, love you, my hot dogs.
Bye, doggies.